Hey, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Lovely Freaks podcast. I'm your host, Amanda.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we are on episode 6. And, thanks to everybody who has listened to part 1 of the last podcast so far, the Lacey Peterson case. Today's Tuesday, so this podcast that we're doing right now will be up Friday, but we're actually going to post the part 2 tomorrow. So hopefully you guys can hear the end of that case and, hopefully they'll like it. All that jazz.
And then they'll see if he's guilty or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see how y'all feel about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything I need to talk about. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. So today's episode is not a true crime case, but it is, if you saw the title, then you kind of know already. It's about the Perron family, and this is the family from the movies The Conjuring.
Okay.
So,
which The Conjuring is like the scariest movie I've ever seen, because I remember when I was watching it, not even when I was younger, like recently, and I was like, holy shit, like I couldn't sleep for a long time because it was so scary.
That's what I was going to say, like that movie, it's one of my favorite newer horror films, because like my favorite horror film of all time is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but that's one of my newer favorite ones, and it scared me. Like, not scared me, but it just creeped me out. Like, so for some reason, movies like that have to do with, like, demonic presence and, like, stuff like that, possession and stuff, kind of creep me out.
But they did when they were crucified, or they were, like, trying to get the demon out of the mom, it was very creepy, because the way that, like, she was thrown around the room and everything, I was just like, wow. Yeah. And I didn't really know it was a true story. Like, they said it at the end, but I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, true story. But I didn't know it was an actual true story.
Yeah. So the Conjuring movie is based off of Ed and Lorraine Lauren. So, the Ed and Lorraine Lauren that are in the film, they're actual people in the real world. Real. Yeah. And all of the movies, so all the Conjuring movies, all of the movies that are based off The Conjuring, which I think is like Insidious, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's one of them. And The Nun and Annabelle, they're all based off of cases that Ed and Lorraine Lauren have done. Like, they actually went to, I don't remember what Hollywood producer they went to, but towards the end of their life, because I think they've both passed away now, but they actually went to a production company and they were like, hey, we want to tell you guys our story and, share it with everybody, I guess. So, yeah, this is from that. So, it was an actual true story. And to me, the event that happened is a little bit more crazy than, the actual movie. I will say Hannah wanted to do an episode on a witch.
Yeah.
And this kind of actually has a witch in it. So, because, in the movie, one of the people that possessed the mom in the movie, or one of the spirits that possessed the mom in the movie was a witch.
The witch, and she, sacrificed her children, and she was trying to sacrifice
Yeah, so
children.
we'll talk about all that.
Okay.
So the Perron family consisted of Roger, who's the dad, Carolyn, the mom, and 5 girls. Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. Andrea, is it Andrea or Andrea? Oh, I think it's Andrea. Andrea. Sorry, my bad. I knew I was saying that wrong. Andrea, she has been the one that's been, like, on the most interviews and stuff like that. She's actually written a book. So a lot of what I'm going to tell you came from some of her interview. And then some of it, I actually, shout out to the Mile Higher podcast, because they're awesome. And I kind of, got some information from there, plus, news articles and stuff like that. I don't typically like to listen to a podcast before I do a case, but this one I kind of wanted to make sure I got like all the information correct. Mm-hmm. And you can't find, for some reason I couldn't find all of her interviews like online. I don't understand that either, but whatever the case. So the Perron family, they were living in Providence, Rhode Island in the city when they first, before they moved. And so they decided they wanted to move to the country. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how this all started. They started out living in the city, and I don't know if they didn't like living in the city or whatnot. I know I prefer the country over the city. So they moved to Harrisville in the winter of 1970. They purchased the home, I believe, like right before Christmas or around Christmas, but they didn't want to move in right then because they, Christmas was coming up and they've got 5 girls. So, moving during Christmas probably would have been crazy. So they waited till January to move in. Mm-hmm. But they'd moved in during a snowstorm, apparently. So, like a heavy, heavy snowstorm. Mm. This land that they moved in on, the farmhouse that they moved into, the house is called the Old Arnold Estate, and it has 200 acres of land. That's a lot of freaking land. Yeah. I mean, my mom and dad, I think they live on like 5 maybe or something like that. It's not, and that
I was gonna say 6, and you really know
something like that. Yeah. So 200 acres is a lot. It was one of the original plantations in the area that was founded in 1680. I'm like all over the place today. So yeah, it was founded in 1680. Mm. And the house was originally just like a small farmhouse, Yeah. And so back then, of course, it wasn't like this big gigantic house that it is now, but it was just one small farmhouse, and then they kind of built on as the years go by. So yeah, you can imagine how much like spirits and things that are happening on this
like wars
property. I mean, civil wars. I think the actual house, like the finished product, was done. Let me see. It was finished in 1736. So yeah, It's a 10-bedroom house, so it's huge. But I don't think like it was 10 rooms, like 10 bedrooms. It was just a 10-room house. So not all those rooms were bedrooms,
so like
but some of them,
and bathrooms and stuff.
And back then they had like a room for everything. So there could have been a room like
to rest.
Yeah, there could have been room for like
painting room.
The painting room or sewing room or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it was a huge house for these kids. I mean, they had 5 kids though, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got a lot of kids, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. For some reason though, even though they had that many rooms, or that many rooms, some of the girls still shared a room. So Nancy and Christine,
you said earlier.
Did I say that? Mm-hmm. They shared a room, and then Cindy and April shared one, and then Andrea had a room all to herself, and she was the oldest. Mm-hmm. So, but it could have been a case of like sometimes like siblings would share a room together when they were close in age or whatever. So I don't know.
Maybe to protect themselves or something if something happened. Maybe that's what they thought.
Maybe. I mean, I would.
That would be a smart idea.
So before we get into like the hauntings and stuff like that, I just want to say, first of all, I'm never going to buy a house that was built in 1700s.
Yeah.
1800s.
It's a smart thing.
I mean, mine was built in 66, and that's about as far as I'm willing to go. I just don't. No. And if you see this house, I mean, it is like.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy looking. Like, it's not like. I mean, it's a really pretty farmhouse, but it's just something about it. It just gives me bad vibes. It gives me bad vibes. But before they moved in, when they were looking at the house, they had no idea it was haunted. Like, they didn't get a vibe or anything like that. And that's usually how all these seem to start out. Like, that's what I never understood. Like in the movie, Amityville Horror, and that's a real house too. And we're gonna have to do one on that one because that's another one of my really all-time favorite movies. So Amityville Horror, when they went and looked at the house, there wasn't anything weird that happened, and that's just weird to me. It's almost like the spirits are like, let's just be good for the showing, you guys. Then when they get in here, shy. We're gonna fuck shit up.
They're like, we don't know you yet, but just wait.
Oh, look at this family.
Before we possess them, we gotta know them just a little bit.
So anywho, however, though, after moving into the house, like while they were moving boxes in, Andrea said, quote, she said she remembers getting a box from her dad out of the car. When walking back past the dining room, she saw an oddly dressed man in the corner of the dining room. So this is like day one, they're moving their stuff in, right? Mm-hmm. She greeted the man and then said, "Hey, Mom, who was that guy in the dining room?" Her mom said, "There wasn't a man in the dining room. There's no one else here." So at first, Andrea, sorry, I keep saying that. She thought that, apparently there were people moving out as they were moving in kind of situation. So she thought, okay, maybe that's somebody like that, or maybe it's somebody working on the house or like a plumber or something or whatever. So she didn't know, but when she asked her mom was like, yeah, there was nobody there. And a lot of the different girls, like some of the other girls were like, yeah, we saw that man, and he was dressed in like colonial attire, I think, or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, when they say oddly dressed, like that's what they mean. Mm. That's what they meaned. That's not a word.
That's what they mean.
So one of the things that they constantly said for the first couple weeks that went on in the house was they were constantly cold. So, me and you have talked about supernatural and like how when you feel a spirit, like it's usually like really cold. Yeah. And stuff like that. So, yeah, but their mom was the one, like she was constantly freezing. She was the one that had it like the worst as far as like how cold she was. Mm-hmm. And the girls would say that they were cold too. For some reason though, they had like multiple fireplaces. And half of them were all closed up, like sealed up, which I thought was really strange. I was like, that's kind of odd. Like, it makes you wonder, like, were their bodies burned in there? Like, yeah. What happened? And you'll understand what I mean by... Did they not
like Santa Claus or... They're like, no, Santa Claus for you.
So a little bit of the history of the house, though. The Arnold family, they were the primary owners. There was 8 generations of families that lived in this house and lived, like on the property and stuff.
Wow, that's a lot.
The tragedies in the house, this is a lot. So, Mrs. John Arnold, at age 93, hung herself off of the rafter in the barn. First of all, she was 93 and she hung herself. Like, I don't understand that. Yeah. And my thought is maybe her husband died and she just couldn't go on anymore, or... Like, at that point, if you're 93,
and just
keep going. I mean, I didn't understand that. So that kind of makes me wonder if it was something supernatural,
Or maybe she, like, couldn't remember things and nobody was taking care of her.
Oh, like, she had Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That could be it.
Several other tragedies, though, included suicides, hangings, poisonings. One little girl that was 11, her name was Prudence Arnold. She was raped and murdered on the property, and it was an unsolved murder. Mm-hmm. 2 drownings in the creek located near the house, and 4 men froze to death on the property, but they were all these events happened close to the house. So, of course, if it's 200 acres, if somebody drowns on the back 50 of the acre, you're not gonna really know. But all of these that I've talked about, these happen close to the farmhouse. Mm. So if there are any spirits from any of that, of course they're gonna be around the farmhouse area. And I think there was actually, we'll get into that. We'll get into some of the people that actually died in the house. The mom, Carolyn, she was the one that found out all this information because of course, you know, I mean, a realtor's not going to divulge that information. But like, yeah, by the way, before you buy.
All these people died.
There was suicide, hangings, poisonings. Someone was raped and murdered. Like, you still want to buy it though, right? Because I'd be like, deuces, I'm out.
I think they should be required to tell you that information. Are they required now?
No, they're not required.
I think that by law they should be required.
Yeah, I think so too. And you can make up your own mind whether or not you believe that stuff or not.
Yeah.
I do fully believe in spirits, so ghosts, angels, things like that.
Done.
Yeah. So, yeah, she went to the library, and of course all this information was public record. So, you know, she was able to find out all the information.
Kudos for her for doing the research.
Mm-hmm. Andrea, the oldest, she would say that when she would go to school during the day, she was like super happy. When she got to school, she had a lot of energy and everything. Yeah. And then this was this is a few weeks after moving into the house, so they're dealing with the coldness, and then, you know, they saw that man like the first day. Mm-hmm. Then she's dealing with the fact that she remembers being super happy at school, and then she'd come home and she would feel like this heaviness and sadness and depressed and just awful. And that made me think of what you told me about Gage, about his house. Yeah. Is it his house now, or is it the one?
It's the one. Guys, my ex-boyfriend has a house, and we're still friends, so we hang out every once in a while. But I'm telling you, I walk into that house, and there's this huge feeling, and it's like it looks like a grandma's house. Like, everything's wooden. It's kind of it's 70s. It's straight 70s. Or maybe 50s. I don't know. Yeah. But, like, it's super heavy. Like, even when I was there, I'd be like, Gage, we gotta go somewhere else. Like, I can't. Like, we always had fights, weirdly, over there. I'd be like, but we wouldn't anywhere else. Yeah. Just a heaviness. So I get what she's coming from.
Yeah, and that's what she said. And then she would just have, like, this sadness. So she hated being there. Like, she didn't like the house. Like, from first couple of weeks, she was wanting to go, you know. The previous owners, which I thought this was really strange, and this right away I would have been like, why? And if they wouldn't have told me, I would have been like, okay, well, not buying the house. So the previous owners told them to leave their lights on at night. Like, that was the only advice they gave them. I have no idea.
I'd be like, they were just like, I need to know.
Yeah, they were just like, maybe the family thought, okay, that's just like a joke. Like, leave your lights on at night, you know. Maybe there's a ghost in here.
Maybe they thought there was, like, people that tried to steal things from the house in the past.
Maybe so, yeah. But I would have had to have asked more information.
Yeah. Like, and why?
Yeah.
And why didn't the past owners, why did they sell it? I mean, obviously they had problems, right?
And...
Why didn't they be like, hey, guys, no, don't buy this house. Like, just burn it to the ground.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we'll get into other things. But, like, this family, like, they sell it.
Yeah. I guess
so, I mean, people buy it. I mean, there's been other families that have lived in this house since the Perron family has left. Perron? I can't remember. Perron.
Because I remember it was like a pear.
Yeah. I'm horrible with the English language, I guess. Anyways, so this is a clip that I'm going to read from Andrea, and this was the first few nights in the house. She said, the first night or two we were in the house, of course you're adjusting to the new environment. I thought that the sound that I was hearing was the wind in the eaves, like the eaves of the house, because she kept hearing like this mumbling sound, like muttering, and, you know, she just thought, okay, it's just the wind blowing. Yeah. But that wasn't the case at all. And then my darling little sister Cindy crawled into bed with me. She said, Annie, can I sleep with you? I said, sure. I pulled the quilt back and let her in. She snuggled up real close, and she said, I hear voices in my room. They're all talking at once, but they're all saying the same thing. And I asked her, what are they saying? And she said, they're saying there are 7 dead soldiers buried in the walls. See, right then, I'd have went to my mom and be like, we gotta go.
Yeah, like, if my kid told me that, I'd be like, okay, let's go, guys. Yeah. We can, like, camp in the car. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So, yeah, apparently her little sister kept hearing these voices and 7 dead, and they were saying soldiers the same thing. 7 dead soldiers in the wall, 7 dead soldiers in the wall, just over and over again. Bruh, I would have never got up out of my bed. I screamed hard and been like, somebody's gonna come in here.
No, thank you.
That's just like what we were talking about with the ghosts, though. I mean, you can't say that because you're a little ghost girl. I mean, rattling under the bed and you're just like, go away. Girl, I would have screamed and ran.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have hurt me. She hasn't hurt me for all these years.
Is it something in the moment, though? Like when you're little? It's just something like, is it like a fear that comes over you where you can't scream?
You keep denying
Or you keep denying it.
You're like, no, even that. You're like, I don't know. I guess I'm just hearing things. Like, I don't know. Maybe somebody, real. Like, I have a connection with God. He's talking to me. Like, you just deny. Maybe they were just denying.
Maybe so. Because her
and you
sister
look at a movie
really
and you're like, no way. Like, bitch, I'd be out. But in real life, you just keep denying. You're like, no way. No, it's fine. Because
you just don't want to believe it. Yeah. And I think her sister was probably like 5 or 6. She was really little, so... Okay.
But still, that's a little,
that's
Adeline, a huge lie.
Yeah, and my daughter, y'all, she's 6. I mean, Adeline, if she saw something, she'd be telling somebody.
Yeah.
She'd be like,
Mommy,
nope.
So, like...
Yeah.
I think there's 7 dead soldiers in the wall. Somebody was whispering that to me.
Yeah. So, during the first few months of living in the house, they didn't experience a bad spirit. So, a lot of the ghosts that they were experiencing or spirits that they were experiencing, some of them were good. Like Mrs. Arnold, the woman that hung herself that I told you about in the barn, she would actually kiss the girls goodnight on the forehead. They remember this. Like, they remember someone coming in and they knew it wasn't their mom because, they were kind of half asleep or whatever, but they knew it wasn't their mom because their mom always smelled like, I think it was lavender, but this woman always smelled like roses or flowers, a flowery scent. So they knew it wasn't their mom, and she would kiss her goodnight. Some of the girls also recall playing with a ghost named Johnny Arnold, who apparently hung himself in the attic, and he was a kid when he hung himself. I don't think he was super young, but
like 12, maybe
something like that. They remember him. They nicknamed him Manny, and they would play with he would play with their toys with them, like like toss a ball across the room and something would throw it back, type of deal. And he would watch them. They would say that they would see him while they were outside playing. They would see him, like, if they looked up at the window, they would see him, like, standing there watching them, like a protector kind of deal. So those were the spirits that they weren't scared of. There was also a ghost called the Sweeping Ghost. They said that it would, there would be a sound in the kitchen area or in the dining room area that would sound like somebody was sweeping. And when they would go in there, this is funny to me, when they would go in there, the broom would be up against the wall, and it might have been like in the pantry, but it would be up against the wall, and there would be like a pile of dirt that somebody had swept up.
Love that.
I know. I was like, I need that sweeping ghost. Like,
he's just like, let me pick this up for you.
You come on to my house.
That's a nice ghost.
I know. I thought that was really funny. That was super awesome. So not all the ghosts in the house were positive, obviously, because after, like, I want to say it was after almost a month maybe of them being there, or 3 or 4 weeks, the good ghost didn't last very long. They started experiencing some crazy stuff. So the family started waking up every night at exactly 5:15. Every single night at 5:15.
Like all of them?
All of them would wake up because they would smell the smell of rotting flesh. There would be spirits that would lift their bed up off the ground, toss them around, like toss one of the girls onto the floor. There would be spirits that would pull on their legs or their hair while they were trying to sleep, would pull the covers on and off their bed. They would bang doors all hours of the day and hear children crying and screaming, like, and babies crying and stuff like that. So at that moment, like, my kid and the mom, I think she was dealing with a lot of this stuff too. Not, necessarily that stuff, but the mom was dealing with like heavier things. Like her daughter would say, you know, Andrea that did the interviews, and even her mom did some interviews, and she would just always say that right off the bat, the first couple weeks, she just started feeling like crap, basically. You know, like she was being drained of energy, and she was always cold, and just some weird things were happening to her. So I don't understand. I mean, I get it. I get why they stayed. They put all their money into this house.
Yeah.
So all their investment, all their savings and everything was put into this house. And I believe around the 1970s was around the time that they were there was when the economy started to tank. So you have 5 kids.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily live out on the street. And I don't know the family situation. Like, I don't know if she had a mom or dad she could go live with, or the dad, you know.
Or they didn't want to put that burden on them, too.
I mean, I'd have put a burden on my mom and daddy. I was like,
we ain't living in this house, Mom.
But we ain't living here. Especially the fact, like, we'll get in, they live in this house for 10 years. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not like...
No.
And after the serious shit that we're going to talk about happens,
you know
they even still live there. And she says that it wasn't as bad, but it still wasn't great.
Well, you know how, like, it only happens, like, it happens not even every once in a while, like, months or years. Maybe it was happening, like, every year or months they would have it.
No, apparently, this was
night?
Like almost every night. Yeah.
No, not if it was almost every night.
Yeah.
No,
like it got to the point where they were just like exhausted. They were tired. They couldn't sleep. So, you know, I'm sure there would be a few nights, maybe like 5 nights where nothing was happening, but this wasn't like over a period of like yours. Months or a year. No. All this that we're going to talk about happened within the first at least 6 months of living in this house to a year. So, what's the last thing? Oh, so yeah, I talked about, you know, the fact that they couldn't leave. All their money was tied into this house. Andrea would also say the most scariest thing about the house was that there was a male spirit in the house. And she said, I quote, let's just say, she wouldn't talk about it. So in any of the interviews, and I think even in her books, she doesn't really talk about this male spirit. And this part makes me super sad because I don't know what happened. But if I speculate, like, it just sounds really sad. Okay. So she says, let's just say there was a very bad male spirit in this house with 5 little girls. And that's all she says. So, I mean, I know I've heard people say, like, spirits can touch you and stuff like that, you know. And so I'm wondering if maybe there was, like, a sexual assault going on or something like that. Like, I mean, you even felt something pull your hair, so you know that there can be bad things out there that can happen. Apparently there's such thing as ghost sex, but I don't know anything about that. I've never heard about that. I kind of wanted to like research that and see what that's about. But that's what they were talking about on the Mile Higher podcast. Gonna intro the and plug them in here real quick. But yeah, they were talking about that, and I was like, what? That's a thing? So whatever. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this could have been a really bad spirit, and
like a sex offender, or
and it could have been, you know, that little girl. She was raped and murdered on the property. Yeah,
it could have been those.
So I wonder if it was one of the guys that maybe like what if one of them died there? Yeah, you know, or something like that. And it's weird because that's like she's really open about everything that she talks about except for that. Like that's one of the things she will not talk about. The most known spirit in the entire house, though, is the one that's from The Conjuring. So it's the Bathsheba.
The witch one?
The witch. Bathsheba Sherman. Try saying that 5 times fast. So she was a real person. Mm-hmm. She lived in Rhode Island, and we're going to give a little history about her. She lived in Rhode Island in 1812. and in her early 30s, she married Jetson Sherman. She gave birth to at least one son that his name was Herman, but both the Bathsheba and Jetson are believed to have had at least 3 children that died when they were at like a younger age. Uh-huh. So a baby died in her care. I don't really know if this baby, it wasn't her kid, but I don't know, I'm assuming maybe she was like babysitting or something like that. So this baby died in her care by being basically stabbed in the back of the skull with a knitting needle or sewing needle. How? She says that it was an accident. The trial she was put on trial, but it was thrown out, and I don't really know why. I don't know, I guess they didn't have enough evidence or something. Everyone in the town said that she was a witch, of course, because that's back then, like, you know.
She's a witch!
You tied your shoes wrong, you're a witch! Even though she got cleared in trial, and they kind of dismissed it, everyone still thought that she killed the kid. So there was no evidence of her actually being a witch. And in the movie, you know, Lorraine Lauren says she was a witch, and because, you know, she's a medium. So, yeah. And even in this case, like, she gets to the house eventually, and we'll get there. And she says, yeah, this was a witch. Her name was blah, blah, blah. She's the one torturing y'all, all this. But there was no actual evidence of her ever being a witch. Okay. There was hardly any proof at all that she was even existed. So there's supposedly a picture of her, and I'll put it on this, obviously. And she does have a tombstone. So obviously the woman was around, but
did she kill any other kids? I thought she killed her own.
No, apparently that was not true.
Okay.
Or that wasn't the case. Now, was there rumor that maybe she killed her own kids?
Because her kids died.
Because her kids died, but I think they died not too long after childbirth. It was that kind of situation. So, and they had I don't know. Anyways, so she does have a tombstone though, and her tombstone is in a Baptist cemetery. So it's like, if she was a witch, first of all, why didn't y'all burn her at the stake? Because that was a thing. Or hang her. And second of all,
how could she be in there?
She wouldn't have wanted to be buried in a Baptist cemetery. Yeah. So, yeah, the picture that I was talking about, yeah, she's standing in front of the farmhouse. I didn't understand that part. There was a lot of confusion about that. I don't think she actually lived in the farmhouse, but I think that she maybe lived somewhere on the property, or because I think they had other like maids' quarters and things on the property, and I'm sure they had slaves. So at some point they probably had slaves' quarters and things like that on the property, but they're not there today. But yeah, so I don't really know. Since the trial got dismissed, though, I'm not really sure why the trial got dismissed, but after the rumors around town spread that she was a witch and that she was doing evil things, people were saying that she gave her soul to the devil. The story is that she made a deal with the devil, and after she committed suicide by hanging, her body got turned into stone. Don't know where the stone is because we hadn't seen that, but that's just like the story, the legend behind her, shall we say. Andrea says, however, that this spirit was definitely in the house, and what she believes is that she carried the pain of this child's death with her all the way to the end of her life. And by the time that she died, she was filled with so much pain and rage from everything that people were saying about her in town, and just the fact that the child died in her care, and people thought that she killed it, that she wanted everyone to suffer like she did in the afterlife. So that's why she was kind of torturing this land or the families that came to live there, and so on and so forth.
See, in the movie they say she's a witch and she's like trying to sacrifice the kids.
Yeah, and we'll get into why that is said. There's a reason why. Okay. So they think that this spirit, the Bathsheba, they think that she was actually in love with the Perron the father, Roger, that she hated Caroline. Roger would say that he would experience, like, only good things from her. Like, he would feel, like, caresses on his face and, like, his arm.
So handsome, sweetie.
You're so fine.
You wearing that cologne today?
Yeah. Whereas Carolyn would very much experience the total opposite. She was being, like, tormented and tortured by this woman. One day, Carolyn felt a sharp prick behind her back leg, so, like, her calf area. Yeah. And when she looked down, there was a small hole, like a needle-like, that had been plunged through her leg. So Andrea says, and I'm going to quote here. So she says, quote, let me get down. Okay. And when my mother had a needle plunged into the back of her calf while she was laying reading a book on the sofa one night, or perhaps maybe that turned the worm, like this is when the turning point happened, was the night that every spirit in the house completely circled the bottom of her bed and had burning torches in her room, and she had backed all the way up against the headboard because one of them came out of the group, got in her face and said, we'll drive thee out with fury broom. We'll drive thee out with death and gloom. They chanted it the entire night over and over and over. It was like dark poetry. So that was another part where I would have been like,
really? And they still say,
I will live in a cardboard box. Like, yeah. I don't even care. So 5 months in. So this is 5 months in. They started thinking.
5 months when she.
Yeah. This was just 5 months in. Damn. So yeah. Because that's what I said. Like, the really bad stuff started happening around 5-6 months to a year.
And they stayed there 10 years.
Stayed there 10 years. So in the 5 months, that was when the economy started crashing. So that's why they couldn't leave, really. But like I said, I mean, I would have lived in a cardboard box. For real. Yeah. So now we're going to get into Ed and Lorraine Lauren. And give a little bit of backstory about them if you don't know who they are. They claim to have done 4,000 paranormal cases over the span of 30 years. Which is a lot. But not totally, unbelievable. Ed claims to be a professional demonologist, and Lorraine is a clairvoyant medium. The whole Conjuring universe is, like I said earlier, is based off of their, the true events. Ed and Lorraine Lauren, they have like a museum now, and it's in their basement. And that movie, I think it's called Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah, it's the
Is that what the last one? Like the very last one?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. But yeah, so in that movie, if you've seen it, then you know that they have like all this dark, crazy shit down in their basement. And apparently, like, that's true.
All possessed and stuff.
Yeah, and all that stuff is real, like, actual stuff. Which, for, like, going off script here, the Annabelle movies, I've always thought it was weird that she's actually a Raggedy Ann doll. She's like a big Raggedy Ann doll. Why did they...
Because it isn't creepy enough.
Yeah, but first of all, ain't nobody fixing to buy that doll. Yeah. If I saw that doll, I'd straight up burn it automatically. Because that doll is creepy as crap. If I'd have saw a Raggedy Ann doll, then I would have been like, oh my god, a doll, this is so cute. But she's not cute. No. By no means. So I just thought that was really weird. Like, they didn't have to make her look like that. Like, I mean, Chucky doesn't look like that in the he's a good guy. Yeah. In the first Chucky movies, he's really cute. Whatever. Okay, so Ed and Lorraine Lauren finally come to the Perron? I'll get it right eventually. Yeah. They finally come to the house. So they get connected through the family, the parents' friends, I think is what it is. Mm-hmm. When Lorraine came to the house, she told the mom, like, right off the bat, when she came in, she was, talking to her, and they were telling her everything that was going on. And she said, oh yeah, Bathsheba, the spirit, she's the one that stabbed you in the leg. And because if you think about her background, she killed that baby with a needle. Mm-hmm. So that's why she stabbed you in the leg. And that's what Lorraine told her. Lorraine also said that she was a witch and that she practiced witchcraft, which in the movie, She says the same thing, but there's actually no proof of that. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that she didn't.
Yeah, so, she still could have.
Yeah. The Warrens, though, they did a 1.5-year investigation into this family. And, like, so I will say one thing about them. They did, like, really investigate and, like, make sure
that they're not
there
just
were
lying.
Actual facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's pretty good, I guess. I mean, they're, like, the godparents of, or, you know, paranormal investigation. Like, they're the founders of it, basically. The family say that when the Ed and Lorraine Lauren got there, though, it, like, made things way worse. So the family, they weren't really religious, but the Warrens, they're, like, extremely Catholic. And after being in the house, the Warrens say that the house was, like, infested with demons. So apparently there was lots of evil spirits and demonic forces that were in that house. And the family was, like, in serious danger of being possessed by this Bathsheba.
Yeah.
Spirit. But since the family wasn't Catholic, they were going to do, like, a cleansing of the house, and they were going to, like, exorcise the house.
Yeah.
Sorry, that made me think of Ace Ventura.
Why?
I have exorcised the demons. Okay. This house is clear. So, anywho, yeah, she says that they were going to do that, but they couldn't because the family wasn't Catholic. Mm-hmm. And so they don't, you know, Catholic priests, they won't come to your house if you're not Catholic. Which I'm just like, really, bro? If I'm dealing with demons, like, I'm going to need you to just give me a 1, okay?
Yeah.
Just help a brother out. Because
I bet they're Catholic now after all this
I don't
crap
know.
that's happened.
I don't know if they're really religious or not. But, so, instead, the Warrens decide that they're going to hold a seance. Yeah, because that's always a good idea.
Okay.
They're going to help drive the demons out with a seance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. With Carolyn, the mom, in the dining room. So in the movie, it's in the basement or whatever, but that's not where this happens. It happens in the dining room. So this is a whole thing about to, like, this is like an interview, and this is a whole interview from, like, Andrea and what happened the night that they do this seance, which in the movie, if you remember, that's kind of what happens, like the possession happens and all that. So now we're going to talk about what actually happened. So the interviewer says, there was a seance that happened when the Warrens were in the house with you. What happened during that seance? Andrea says, quote, it was far more intense than anything they could have portrayed in a film. It did not happen in the cellar. It actually happened in the dining room. And I knew from the moment I was never one to believe in demons. I knew evil existed, but I still don't know exactly what a demon is, which, you know, a lot of people don't really understand what a demon is or nothing like that. But I will tell you that they brought a priest and a medium with them the night that they did this. So I thought that was really weird, because I was like, they wouldn't cleanse the house, but they brought a priest to do a seance. It didn't make any sense. Maybe he was like not an official priest or something like that.
Maybe they were afraid if they cleansed the house that one of the demons would have possessed
one of
somebody.
The people?
Yeah,
I don't know. So, continuing, a full technical crew was there as well, and they filmed the event. So, also, side note, apparently the Warrens filmed and documented, like, all of their cases.
Yeah.
And they documented this. So I'm like, where is that footage?
Yeah, where is
like,
that?
I want to know what happened to it, where'd it go? Was the camera not on? Was it not rolling? I don't know. She says, and they inadvertently opened a door that they could not close. The medium invited the spirit in, and with them came something which attacked my mother. Hold on, I went too far. That's not what she said. That was me.
Hold on, I went too far.
On my computer, I went too far. She says, I don't, if she was possessed, it was for a brief period of time, but I saw it all with my own eyes. And she was 15 at the time, so she remembers this. What I know is whatever attacked her was not of this world. It spoke through her in a language that was not of this planet or like anything that anybody could interpret.
Yeah.
She said it levitated my mom's chair and that she was sitting in. And within a split second, it was as though like her mom's body curled up into like a ball. You would have expected her bones to break, but they didn't. And then it threw her across the room in an adjacent parlor to where we were, about 20 feet into the interior in a split second. So it threw her 20 feet into the other room.
Wow. So,
yeah, she's speaking like this different language, and then
the curled up in the ball thing
curls
really,
her mom up into a ball.
Just imagining that. It's creepy.
And she said she thought her mom's bones would have been broken, but they weren't. Shockingly, the interviewer said, "How old were you?" And she said, "I was 15." The interviewer says, "You were 15 years old. Several people in the house. This was documented in the Warrens' files as well, not film. The Warrens' files. Mm-hmm. What happened in the house after that night?" Andrea says, "Whatever was allowed in that night subdued the spirits. So all the other spirits, which, first of all." If something that evil's coming in, the other spirits are like, shit, I'm out. Like, yeah.
They're like, nah, we good.
I ain't dealing with that. I'm going to go hide in the closet for a while. She said that they were very, very quiet for a long time afterwards. Not completely gone, but they were very, very quiet. So old something, daddy, big spirit came in and was like,
they were all like, never mind. I don't need to sweep. The sweeper was like, nah, y'all can pick it up now. I'm gone.
I'm good. Several months, and for several months, she said my mother kept wasting away. So this is really sad. She says, you saw her photographed in front of the fireplace. I mean, she was just so frail. My mother moved in there as like a model. She looked, and that's when she was saying, like, her mother was, like, really pretty when they first moved in. And she says that she just started wasting away. And one night, she came out into the parlor. This is crazy. This, like, gave me, like, whoa vibes. Mm-hmm. So, she says, one night, she came out into the parlor, and the dining room had been shut down for the night. So, like, you know, dishes had been cleaned and everything. Yeah. But she was hearing voices. She turned and she saw an entire family having dinner in the dining room. The table was being set. The mom was cooking in front of the fireplace. And she had the fireplace that actually had been sealed shut for like 100 years. Like, this is one of the ones that have been sealed shut. She told her children to have a seat on the bench. And then there was two men sitting on the other side of the bench. They nudged each other, and then they made eye contact with my mother. At this point, they started pointing at her, and they started saying she was the ghost in the house. And she said that's when she understood that that's when my mother understood that we were actually living in a portal.
Oh, like the others?
Yeah, like cleverly disguised as a farmhouse. And that's when she was trying to fight her way back to us, is what her mom was saying. So, her mom started thinking that, no, not like the others. No. They weren't actually dead. Her mom started thinking that they were living in, like, a portal. So, like
they could go back in the past?
Like, this house was, a portal for just all kinds of demonic stuff, ghosts, past things, and kind of like a poltergeist. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. Also like a poltergeist type feeling, which is crazy because
why didn't they put that in the movie, man?
Yeah. I mean,
dang,
I would have done that. So there's just a lot of crazy stuff that happens in this house, and I don't know. I kind of want to go there, but I'm just like, no.
I'm good. My brothers hear about it, look at it from afar. Yeah. That's cool. Let's go, kids.
So, Lorraine Lauren, up until the day that she died, she said that the farmhouse was one of the most intense, awful experiences of her life. Mm-hmm. Like, she hated it. She didn't want to go there ever again. The things that she went through and the things that she felt in that house haunted her until the day she died. Like, that's what she says. No. And I just thought it was so sad about the mom. Like, yeah, she pretty much, like, was wasting away.
Did she die in the house?
No. They finally decided to, like, leave. Thank God. And
what did it take? When did they finally were like, okay, let's go?
I think maybe the mom, like, getting really frail and everything. Yeah. So Carolyn, the mother, says, she doesn't say much, but this is one thing that she did say. She said, reflecting about it quote, reflecting about it after it was over, I didn't feel that spirits were really able to physically harm you. But I was wrong about that. She said, I was so wrong about that. They're really dangerous, and there's a real danger there. And when she was speaking, like, her voice was starting to crack and stuff like that. So just like she was old. She was elderly. So you could definitely tell that it still haunted her. Mm-hmm. The kids also say that Bathsheba, this bad spirit, may not have been the worst spirit in there. So they reported that there was actually an old woman with stick arms. No, sir. Stick arms with a beehive head. So she had like a really big beehive looking head, and she had like stick arms, and she was really tall and lanky, and and she had like nasty hair and breath. Girl, no. And so they said that was one of like the worst, like the scariest looking one.
My soul left my body when you said that. Yeah. My soul said, okay, we're done.
But, dude, after, like, researching all this...
Why didn't they put that in the movie?
I literally had trouble sleeping the other night. I didn't go to bed till, like, 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't finish researching until, like, 2, but then I stayed up for, like, an hour.
I couldn't imagine that. I'd just piss all over myself.
Yeah.
I'd go insane.
So, the family, they didn't get, like, any money from the Conjuring movies. They didn't want any money. Like, they didn't... It's not that they didn't really... They didn't appreciate the movies. Like, the Warrens...
that we've heard. And now that I've watched the movie, I'm like, there's a lot of information that was kind of...
left out.
Up,
yeah.
You know?
And also the part about Bathsheba, like, I'm not saying that she wasn't a witch or she wasn't really a real spirit in the house. Didn't have enough evidence. The oldest daughter says she was real. And she really did torture the mom. But what if she was just torturing the mom because she wanted the dad? And what if she was just, really not a witch, but she, like, what's her name? Like Andrea says, she was just filled with rage after being told for years until she passed away that she was a murdering witch.
And also, it just proves that they aren't lying, because they would have wanted it for money. They'd have been like, give us some money out of that. And why would they tell this entire story? Yeah.
Also, back then, when Bathsheba was alive as a actual woman, you gotta think about Salem witch trials. They had little to no evidence about that, and they still killed them. So obviously
you were boiling water in the middle of the day, you witch!
So obviously, they had absolutely no evidence that Bathsheba was a witch, and there wasn't any that we know of written down today. Yeah. So, if they would have had just the slightest bit, they would have been like, burn her!
Yeah, maybe she was, maybe she isn't.
So, the oldest sister, Audrey, she's the one that we've been talking about, she has written several books, like I said. And the books have apparently, like, a lot of information, like, more information than what we know. The family moved after 10 years, and after they had moved out, there was a woman named Norma Sutcliffe moved into the house, and she said that there was a host of different paranormal experiences that she was living through. The walls would shake. She would see shake, not like creak. They would shake.
Wow.
She would see tons of orbs everywhere, and not while there was like flashes of light going on, just, tons of orbs.
Mm-hmm.
Doors would close by themselves. They would open by themselves. She did say that there wasn't anything as bad as the Perrons were experiencing, but she said that even though she didn't experience any evil spirits, it was still like,
was it just her
really
in the
annoying?
House?
I guess so, yeah.
So that's probably why. They're probably like, yeah, you're boring. We don't want to mess with you.
In 2019, so last year, the Conjuring house was sold to Corey and Jennifer Henson. So apparently they have actually said that there's some strange things that go on, but still nothing as demonic as what the Perrons have experienced. They just, like, same thing as the other woman said, there's just a door slamming in all hours of the night, which that would get on my nerves.
Maybe they got rid of the bad spirits. Maybe they did something that they don't tell us about, and they got rid of the bad spirits.
I don't know. So even after they moved, like the Perron family moved. Yeah. Carolyn, the mother, she was in her basement in the new house, and like there was this giant beam of wood, I guess maybe that was up somewhere, I don't know where, but it flung across the room at her, knocked her down. She was like under it for a while. She was like captured under there. The actress, this is like a lot of stuff that happened like and that was during the time of the premiere, I believe, or it was right before the premiere. That happened to the mom. Something happened to the daughter before the premiere. I think I can't remember what happened to her. Nothing like serious, but something happened. And then the actress that played Lorraine Lauren, she got like a huge scratch in the middle of the night, like the night before the premiere.
Yeah.
And she told Lorraine Lauren, the actual Lorraine Lauren, and she said the spirits don't want this movie out. Like, they don't want the movie out. These demonic
That's
spirits.
That's why, if I was an actress, I'd be like, nah,
yeah.
This is a true story. We ain't doing it.
There's been a lot of movies
that are cursed.
That like are cursed. Yeah. And then that movie, The Exorcist. Like, the original Exorcist. Like, I think the little actress, I can't remember her name. Oh, man, it's going to get on my nerves. But she, when she was a kid, there was some stuff that happened to her. I think she actually got sick on set. So that's why I want to do, like, a whole bunch of, like, different movies like this. Like, actual movies. Like, Amityville Horror.
I know,
I do that one.
is crazy. Like, the things that have happened on set.
But the Amityville Horror, that's an actual house that literally there was a murder that was committed in it. That's true. Like, the shooting. That's true. So there's a bunch of different stuff I want to do. But anywho, that's it. That's all. That is the Perron family.
No wonder.
Perron. I don't know.
Like, that's the scariest movie I've ever watched. No wonder it just has like a...
It's got a bad vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad vibe.
Bad vibes. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought...
That was creepy.
It was crazy.
The creepiest thing was the beehive.
The beehive lady, right?
No, sir. I
don't know what Bathsheba looked like.
Maybe just like a regular...
I know she has black hair, like in the picture that I've seen of her. That's supposedly supposed to be her in front of the farmhouse, and I'll put it up. She's really pretty. And that was her. But, I don't know. 10 years, though.
Nope.
I couldn't do it.
Not 10 years.
I couldn't do it. And I think that's what it was. Like Andrea said, that her mother just kept wasting away. So they had to, like, get out of the house.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming she had to have been out of the house by the time they moved out. Because 10 years, she was 15 when that seance happened.
So probably like 25?
Mm-hmm. Math.
I did it really fast. I know, I'm so proud of myself.
I counted it so quick. So yeah, but that's it, you guys. That's the story. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And if you want us to do some more, movie ones, like I said, we'll do them. There's so many things that are based, so many true stories that are based on movies, though, or loosely based. I mean, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre is loosely based on Ed Gein. And then, what's another one? Oh, Scream is the Gainesville Ripper. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's just tons.
Definitely.
Sadly enough, well, not sadly, but good enough, I guess. There's no, I said sadly enough, like I want Freddy to be real.
Yeah.
Sadly,
sorry. Oh, man.
Sadly enough. There's no killer in our dreams. No. But yeah, that one's not. Freddy and Jason are not.
No, they're not.
And what's his name? Michael Myers. Which
I'm sure Michael Myers was based on other serial killers, maybe.
I mean, maybe. But the fact that, Jason and Michael keep coming back after dying 200 million times.
Definitely, it's kind of, you can kind of see
Jason
Hollywood.
in space. No.
Hollywood, like, they just wanted jump scares, it seems like. Because there's a lot of jump
scares.
Well,
that's those gory movies, but.
No, like, I'm talking about this movie, The Conjuring.
Oh, The Conjuring, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, they told him the whole story, and they're like, nah, we'll put a couple of jump scares in there.
I'm sorry, but
man. That was a lot of stuff you could have put in there that creeps some people out. Yeah. I mean, it is a very creepy movie.
Yeah.
And
they put a good amount of stuff in there. I mean, they did put the seance. They put but the mother was like possessed for a while down in the basement in the movie. But that's not how she explains it. She says it was not long. It was a few seconds. I mean, still, it doesn't matter. That would...
Yeah, the beehive girl, like, that was enough.
And I think the Insidious movies, I think they're based off of...
True stories?
No, off of Ed and Lorraine Lauren. Oh. I need to look that up. But I feel like they are, because isn't the nun in those? Or something like that? Maybe I could be wrong.
I don't think that is.
I don't think it is either. But the reason why I was saying that was the Insidious movies, like, The Tiptoe Through the Tulips, like that song, that movie ruined that song for me forever. Like, I'll never, when he like walks by the window, I'm just like, no, like, no, not today, Satan. No, thank you. But yeah, all right, we got to wrap it up. We're here and it's an hour. We're an hour into this.
Okay, we need to wrap this up. Sorry, we're rambling on.
We're rambling. It's late. It's not too late. It's like 9, but I gotta get my children home. So anyways, alright, you guys, well, leave us a comment,
subscribe, hit the bell icon, do a comment, tell us how you think of it, like how different it is from the movie.
Yeah. And then next week, so we're not gonna have a video for you guys on Wednesday the 22nd, I believe,
because it's Christmas.
Well, it's Christmas week.
Yeah.
But we are going to have an episode for you guys on Christmas Day. Oh. And all I'm going to say is, we did say we were going to talk about Krampus, and we are, but we're going to talk about some other Christmas traditions that are crazy around the,
around the world?
The world. I want to say universe.
No, dude, universe!
I've been listening to way too much alien podcasts lately, which... There's a whole thing that we need to talk about when it comes to like Egypt and the Egyptians and aliens and stuff. Oh, bruh, it's a rabbit hole that I fell down all day today, and we gotta get on it because it's intense.
We'll have to do that one day.
We'll have to do that. So, anyways, all right. Yeah, what she said. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go to Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow us. Give us a message, and let us know other movies that you guys want us to do. So, all right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.